Good afternoon, everyone. Austin here during your lunch break. For many of you, I want to talk about relationships. It's a time of year where we're getting together with people, we're interacting, and I call it A Tale of Two Cities from the great Charles Dickens novel, right? It was the best of times and it was the worst of times. And sometimes it can feel like that with our relationships. I want to let you know that on December 30th in Haddonfield, New Jersey, I'm launching a new program called AIR, Authentic, Intentional Relationships. And I'm going to be focusing on relationships more going into 2024. And you may ask why? Because it's the thing that keeps coming up again and again and again. So as I'm looking the drawing board there, as I'm working on 2024, I hope you are too, dialing into those priorities. Perhaps relationships is an area that you've neglected. And we've often talked to high-level entrepreneurs who do really well, and many of them struggle in their relationships. And this is a time and an opportunity now more than ever, as the collective stage heats up with conflict. Now more than ever, we need to restore the essence, the authenticity of our relationships. I'm going to talk today about the number one killer. But before I transition, I want to make sure you know I'm going to be in Haddonfield, New Jersey on December 30th between 1 and 3 p.m. It's a limited engagement. We're going to do a communication assessment for you to help you get some perspective. And sometimes we think that the other person needs the work, but we often realize that we can't do that work. We can only work on ourselves. So this is going to give you a great perspective. It's going to help you show up better, if that makes sense. So here's what I want to do. I want to offer you this definition of the number one relationship killer. Before I do, let me open it up. Does anyone know what that is? If you're alive or you're on the playback, type that in if you know what that is. And I want to check a setting here. I kind of think I may not be streaming live here, but that's okay. I'm looking. We got 0 on here. And the last time Facebook was turned it into a private stream. So if you're on Facebook, let me know. If not, we'll just recirculate it so you can get it. The number one relationship killer, contempt. Contempt. If you're just joining, let me know. I had some technical difficulties and I want to make sure that I am streaming. But the number one relationship killer is contempt. And what is contempt? Before I looked up the definition, I want to share with you what I felt like it was for me. Contempt is this intense denial of a person, or this intense denial of who a person is. And this can be relevant in business too, not just in our interpersonal relationships. And this can creep up on us because someone else did something. And when they do something, if we're not fully aware, we react, and this rejection of that person comes up. And so let me share with you what it says here in the definition. The feeling that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving scorn. And the sentence they give, he showed his contempt for his job by doing it very badly. Similar, disregard for something that should be taken into account. So that's a milder version of it, but it's this rejection of a person, contempt, not just Austin saying it. This is experts, multiple programs. The number one word is contempt. And here's where it gets even deeper. When you have contempt for someone else, it actually affects you biologically. They've done research on illnesses that will show up when you don't really get ahead. And the thing that I think about, and it just happened to me recently, it's when the snake bites you. It's when somebody in business or interpersonal relationships, they bite, metaphorically speaking, and they spew poison. And we can be so enraged, triggered, retaliating, hot and cold wars, all the things that can happen. But what we're not doing, we're not getting the poison out. We're just allowing it. And so that's where that person that hurt you truly wins. The only way you win, and I don't like to use the word win, but the only way you can transcend is to get the poison out. So if you're walking around and you have contempt for somebody that did something to you, what is so important is to embrace it. Number one, because if we reject that's not helping us either. That's like you're just ignoring the poison. Can we embrace it? Like really just step into it. Okay, this is what happened. This is how I'm feeling right now. I'm angry. I want to retaliate back to that person. So rather than just going into the action or the reaction, to really sit, and that's why we talk about journaling and to stay present with what is, to stay present and to really write it down or express it to a trustworthy third party. And what I mean by trustworthy, someone who is not going to instantly start giving you solutions, somebody who can let you breathe in new air. Authentic, intentional relationships. So December 30th in Haddonfield, New Jersey from 1 to 3, I'm going to be there in person, and I want to do more in-person events. And I'm launching a new, really it's a new modality. It's called Poetry and Presence and Relationships. And we just did a first event here in Haddonfield on December 16th. It was very well received. I got great feedback, and I want to develop it even more. And I also want to give you an update. Seeds of Infinitude, it's grown in scope. The poetry book has grown in scope. And what that means is I'm going to be releasing it in 2024. But here's a little animation. That's the poetry book that I'm going to be writing. That's probably like, I don't know, 70% written, but it's expanding. And I will have something available in probably first quarter of 2024 that you can engage in. And stay tuned for the next event. I'm really on purpose. I really want to create more experiences for you. I believe there's so much for you, the listener, in terms of discovering things inside that you don't know are there, deepening our relationships, and just really allowing a more fulfilling life. And I say allowing because a lot of times we're so into manipulating everything. We're trying to enforce our will. And that's what a lot of the material teaches us, is just to go out and we can manipulate anything and we can get what we want. And that sounds good, but to me, it's a deeper dive. It's a more of a fulfilling life is often outside the framework of your mind. It's beyond that. However, the mind is a part of that puzzle, and what we do up here in our thinking is a huge part of the framework, the infrastructure. But the interior decorating, the art that's reflected in the architecture of your life is often outside of what we can imagine. It's beyond your wildest dreams. And so it is with our relationships. So let me know if this served you today. Forgive me for the technical stuff I'm navigating through. I'm going to be launching this. This is going to go up to the podcast as well. But let me close it out with this. The number one relationship killer is contempt. And then the question is, if you are in a state and you're feeling that, what is the best way out of that? What is the best way to release contempt? And I would offer that it's a paradox, that we first must need to embrace it, embrace what it's doing to us. And then from there, we can create the antidote. And then we move to letting go. We might recognize that the contempt, that we felt was out of a micro moment, or a person having a bad moment or a bad series, or a person who's unhealed from trauma. And we are allowing this contempt to enter our lives. And I want you to let that go. I want you to seek, and you can write the question down. What is the best way for me to let go of these feelings I've been harboring? How can I let them go? Show me a sign today. Show me a sign. This just happened to me this morning, and a sign showed up, and it was forgiveness. Forgiveness. Who do you need to forgive? What do you need to let go of before Christmas, before New Year's? That's the work. And be okay if you don't have the answers in this moment. That's the part we have a tough time with. We want the answers now. Just make the intention, set the intention, authentic, intentional, set the intention, and trust what shows up. Trust that the answer will show up. Thanks for listening today. This is the Austin J. Haynes Show. I'm relaunching it, and we will get this up on a podcast. And I'm glad you were here to get this message. And the only thing I ask of you, if it served you, please share. Have a great day, everyone.